Hello, everybody. I have miserably failed at trying to go live on Telegram. I know I can do it because I have another group where I do it, and I was not able to figure it out today. I need to change the settings somehow. So, good old Facebook. So I am just going to get the link and copy it. Oh, come on, just let me copy it. Hey, everybody joining, thanks for coming. I just want to make sure that I get this in Telegram. So if you're, if you are seeing this, you might have known that I was going to do a live today, and you might not have. But I have a Telegram chat. It's called Heather Nichols Creations. It's just a chat for sharing tools and stuff going on, and I have been really having fun with doing Telegram video chats lately. I have a 6-month interesting point of view program where we're doing video chats in there, which is basically, I'm calling it a Telegram live every day. I wanted to start doing these Telegram lives in my main chat instead of on Facebook, just for something different. And I plan to do it today, and then I couldn't figure it out because there's a setting that needs to be changed or something. The back end of Telegram always kind of confuses me. So I figured it out before, but I couldn't figure it out quickly. So I figured, well, let's go live on Facebook, and hopefully people from Telegram are jumping over here. It seems like there's people getting on, so I'm glad you found me. Yeah, we'll have our chat here instead. And I've shared the link in Telegram as well. If you'd like to join the Telegram group, if you're not in it, you can go to heathernichols.com/telegram and join the group. And you'll be in, like, we share like sound clips and videos and different like classes coming up. And we did a 30-day interesting point of view thing over there, free for a while back. And I am going to be doing more Telegram lives there. So if you like Facebook Live with me, I suggest joining that because I'm kind of moving in that direction with things lately. Once I get it figured out, which today was not the day for that to happen, apparently. So glad you guys are here. So we are here. I haven't done a Facebook Live in a while. And if you're wondering what's behind me, that's my yoga silk. So that's like this weird, strange thing hanging up in my background. I love playing in that thing. I hang upside down and whatever, do all kinds of fun stuff. But what I wanted to talk about today is now is the space. Now what? So a lot of us who do use the tools of access consciousness, which is what I facilitate, we've been playing with this beautiful video that maybe somebody can share in the comments, and we can put it in Telegram as well, that Dane here, who's one of the creators of Access Consciousness, he created this incredible video. I think it's called The Space Is Now. But it's this beautiful, energetic kind of journey that he takes you through, talking about now is the space is now. And for a long time we would say now is the time. But time as we know it is gone bye-bye. And you may have noticed that time is very different these days. It kind of doesn't really exist anymore. And it's more about space. Now is the space is now. Hey everybody. Thanks everybody for being here and joining and saying hello. So glad you're here. And what does that mean? Well, it's not even really about what it means, but one of the things, like, I see that as this mantra. It's like, we all know there's a really big change in the world. Thank you, Kelly, for posting the video down there in the comments. that Dane created. It's a beautiful video. I mean, you watch it, your whole world will change. It's really cool. And what so many of us are seeing is, obviously there's a lot of big changes happening in the world these days. Whatever your point of view is about them, nobody can deny the world is changing really fast, really rapidly, really dynamically. And I don't know that anybody really thinks it's for the better. I think it'd be probably kind of hard to find somebody who thinks it's for the better. Unless you're like, a major investor in, like these companies that are profiting from all of this. So with that, it's like, we're sort of like stepping into a completely different space as a planet, like as a world, and the cool thing is that even though it seems like, so I say people wouldn't say the world's getting greater, but at the same time, I would say that it is. So if you just look for like the proof of what's going on in the world to determine, is it getting greater, is it not? If you just look at what's happening, it's like, oh no, it's not, on the surface. But if you look at the energy of it, there's this huge amount of space that is showing up, and this massive amount of like just possibility and a lot more consciousness, and people choosing really different realities and choosing to create something very beyond this reality. So if you look energetically at what's going on in the world right now, it's actually quite exciting. To me, I find it very exciting. I have a lot of enthusiasm around what's going on, and there's a lot of space, and a lot of people sort of see that, and it's kind of like, because what I know what's been occurring for me, and a lot of people that I talk to that use the tools of Access Consciousness, and maybe people that don't as well, but there's this sense of like that everything's kind of gone away. And with this sense of space, it's like kind of waking up in the morning and being like, well, now what? Like, what do I do now? How do I create when everything that I used to sort of identify as creation, everything I used to know, seems like it's kind of gone. I mean, the world as we know it is gone, as we used to know it. It's gone. Like, we're never going to go back to that. And anybody that's still waiting for that, there's probably not very many people that are still waiting for that, because it's very clear, like, that's done, right? That reality is done. And I would say what's occurring is that reality, it's done, but it's also dying as we speak. So this reality, as we call it in Access, it's dying. It's dying. It's going away. It's like, it's in its last throes. It's kicking and screaming. There's not going to be a survival, there's not going to be a revival. So what do we need to do? We need to create something totally different. And in creating something totally different, it's like there's this incredible possibility, because it's like, wow, there's such a blank slate in a way, of like what we can have as a world and what we can create. So different, right? And we... and it's like this, there's just this like beautiful, like so many possibilities, but a lot of the possibilities that are available now, they have so much space to them that it seems like kind of like nothing, right? And it's kind of like, all right. I mean, I know I feel quite dumb a lot of the time these days. And part of it is also like, it's also like, because everything that was is gone, we don't have reference points anymore. We really don't have reference points for what was. Like those reference points, how we refer to like what is supposed to be based on what was, those reference points are gone too. So you have to be in this level of like question and curiosity and choosing something totally different and exploring completely different realities and completely different possibilities to start to get a sense of where to go from here, And I know a lot of people, there is just this sense of like truly, now what? Like, now what? And so so what I wanted to talk about was a lot of this, and also just like how do you create from here? You know, when it seems like everything's gone away, everything has gone away. We don't have reference points anymore. What was is no longer, it's dying, and it also will not be again. And we have this massive possibility in the world for something far greater, and in our own lives for something far greater, far different, far more ease, joy, and glory than we've ever had before. And so, you know, now what? Like, what can we do from here? Where can we go from here? How do we create from here? And I actually really love the question, now what? Because it's this, to me, I ask it a lot. When I'm like, okay, I'm sort of like empty, you know, like I don't really know how to proceed. Now what do I do? You know? And it's a way of engaging the universe and like inviting the universe to sort of show us, okay, so this is what's available. But one of the things so this is an energetic conversation, and it's a conversation about the energetics of creation. And when you're playing with energetic tools and energetic possibilities and the energetics of creation, you've got to look from this perspective that's very much about, like, not about these kind of more tangible, definable energies that we used to have access to before. Like, I know for me, I used to create with the tools of access consciousness, creation is a completely different conversation, period. And I used to create more by I would talk to whatever it was, like, let's just say business. Okay. So if you're creating business, and business is the business of your life. So it's whatever you're doing in your life is basically your business. And so I would like talk to my business, or I'd talk to my creations, and I'd be like, cool, well, what would you like to be, and how and when and where, and like what's available here. But there would be these energies that I would perceive, and that's how I would create, is based on these energies that would be really like clear, and they'd be also sort of loud. It would be like, oh, that's an energy that I can run with, you know? And as we talk about a lot and we play with a lot in access consciousness, so much of creation is about following the energy, like knowing what you would like to have, asking for it, not from defining it, but having a sense of the energy, asking for it. And when those energies show up, you follow them. But following the energy nowadays is very different, because the energies of creation, the energies of possibility, they're so much more subtle. So it's not like, oh, we're going to do something totally different now, a completely 180-degree turn. I mean, and we might in a lot of ways. But when it comes to creation, it's like it's still like, let's pay attention to the energies, but you got to get a lot more present. And you got to get a lot quieter to sort of hear, in a way. And it's not really about hearing specifically, but to hear those whispers of the energies of creation and what can be and what would sort of like to be and what we would like to be. Even to have a sense of what you desire, it's very different. So so we got to get more present. We got to get quieter. And, you know, one of the things that is happening in the world is there's a lot of noise right now, you know. Oh, there's a new thingy, you know. I'm not even going to say like those keywords that would have me, you know, deleted or whatever. There's a new thing in South Africa, you know. There's a new whatever, and we all need to pay attention, and we all need to freak out, and we all need to blah, 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 you know, all this stuff. And it's like it's this cacophony of distraction, basically. And we have these things in access consciousness. They're called distractor implants. And you can get them in the foundation class. You can get them in the book, Living Beyond Distraction. You can read about it if you'd like to know more. But distractor implants are these energies that are designed specifically to distract you from what it is that you know, to distract you from your awareness, and to distract you from the power and potency that you be. So one of the distractor implants is fear. So blame, shame, regret, guilt, anger, rage, fury, hate, Fear, doubt, business, relationship, there's a whole bunch of them. And they're kind of the sum total of how this reality works. And they're also like the fuel that this reality runs upon. They're the fuel that feeds this reality. Fear, doubt, business, the distraction of business, not the possibility of business. Anger, rage, fury, hate, blame, shame, regret, guilt. Perverted, obsessive, compulsive points of view. Life, death, living reality, right? All these things. Relationships. And there's this design of these energies where it's like, oh, fear, I got to grab a hold of that. I got to explore it. I got to go into it. I got to like make sure that I'm going to be okay. But the whole design of fear is to distract you away from what it is that you know, and from actually like the silence and the space of your being, so that you hook into the cacophony of this reality, the noise of this reality, all these things that are going on in the world, and you stay engaged so that you stay connected to like, is there a threat? And if so, what? And how do I protect myself? And how do I protect my family? And how do I, and it's this, and so what's occurring now in this reality as it's dying is these energies they're just turning up the volume. It's like, oh, let's have more fear. Let's have another thing we all need to freak out about. Let's do more of this stuff, and at what point, and it's now, and now is the space, do we all as a world, and it's happening very dynamically, and it's really cool to see, start to go, oh, I get it. You're going to just keep doing this. Like this reality is, and like the people who are really invested in this cacophony of stupidity and fear and all that, they're just going to keep turning up the volume on this thing, and 2 years in, we're like, okay, I mean, I'm sort of like, I never was afraid of it, but after 2 weeks, I was like, okay, well, this is all clearly not going to be as big a deal as we thought, so let's move on, but there are people that want to drag it out. So, and it's also part of, to me, it's like, this is a part of consciousness becoming greater on the planet, because the death of this reality that is occurring as we speak is also required and part and parcel for consciousness to be a far greater energy and so much more to be available, different possibility. And we are all, as we create a reality beyond this reality, which is maybe a story for another time, we'll see. But as we are all basically, kind of like moving, as we move this, as we actualize this as our world, a different reality, then and also as you ignore this reality and the cacophony that just keeps getting louder and louder and louder and louder, and you're like, oh, my world is very silent, thank you very much. My world is very spacious, thank you very much. That whole thing begins to atrophy, and the death of it is sped up, and the dissolution of it is sped up, and we don't feed it by buying it as real or resisting and reacting to it. Like, we don't feed it at all. We ignore it, and something else becomes available. So as we do this, there's all this space that shows up, and it's interesting because alongside the like increased volume of the cacophony of distraction going on in the world, the fear and the doubt and the blah and all this stuff, the blame, there's all these things, the fear of death, all this stuff. As that escalates, guess what is out stretching it out, creating it out, expanding it, is this space, is this now is the space of possibilities, the space of silence, the space of what can seem, when you're functioning from the reference points of what you used to know, it can seem like, kind of seems like nothing, but it's not nothing, it's everything. And because consciousness and the creative and generative possibilities of the universe are about space. The sort of like building blocks of realities are energy, space, and consciousness. That's how we create. As infinite beings, we create as energy, space, and consciousness. Not fear, doubt, cacophonous reality, right? It's energy, space, and consciousness, which is, by the way, who and what we be. That's what we be. As infinite beings, this is what we be. And so you be more of that, you have less points of view, you have more of a sense of question in your world, you have a greater sense of potency to create something beyond this reality, you have a greater sense of choice to do something different in the world than what everybody else is doing, which a lot of us have been doing since way before this whole thing started. But just like, hey, I'm going to stay present with what I know and what's true for me so that I can actually continue to create what is true for me here, despite the cacophony going on over there that isn't actually relevant to me. If I need to know something, if I need to be aware of something, I will. I trust that, And so now is the space, now what? It's like, cool. The beauty of so many of us choosing this completely different reality is that the space is expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding and more and greater and more and more and more. And there's so much silence there. And it seems to be like, I've talked to so many people that are like, oh my God, I have no words, And it's funny because me neither, although I seem to be having some today, which is cool. But like, I'm facilitating a foundation class right now, and I'm like, wow, like we haven't had a lot of words, but we've created a lot of miracles in this class. And we have had some really cool conversations, but it's more about the space. And when you listen to the space, when you occupy the space as the potency of the being that you be, not your mind, not everywhere that you buy into the lies, but the potency of the being that you be. And you expand. And you take up space. And you occupy more space. And you allow silence to be a gift in your world in ways that it never has before. Because the cacophony of this reality is getting more boring, less exciting. It's revealing itself as all of the lies that it actually always has been, more and more every day. And we're like, well, why would I choose that when I could choose the space? And listening to and perceiving the whispers in this space, as this space, with this space, perceiving those whispers of the universe, of possibility, of what it is that we know, of what it is that we would like to create, of what we would like to have, perceiving those whispers. It's like if you're in a room, if you're at a rock concert and someone's whispering, you will not hear it. But if you're in a completely silent room, the whispers are so audible. And then it becomes about trusting you, trusting what it is that you know, listening more and more, perceiving more and more, knowing more and more, because your knowing, your awareness is a threat to this reality. When you know what you know, and you don't buy the lies, you don't believe the lies, you don't engage with the lies, you know what you know, and you function from that, you live from that, you create from that, you become a threat to the rest of the world. And to, well, the rest of the world, a lot of the world is changing, so that's cool. So maybe not the rest of the world, but a lot of the world. And you begin to substantiate a completely different reality that also is a threat to the dying reality that doesn't really, I mean, it's already dying, but when you don't buy the lies, basically, you begin to participate in the creation of something completely different. And this goes for the world, but it also goes for your life and what you're creating in your life, because it's like there's always been this very dynamic kind of intrigue in the world around limitation. And buying all the places that you're limited, making that your story, telling other people, having them buy it, you buying it yourself, limiting yourself more and more and more and more, making a mediocre life, and that's that, And if you're listening to this, like, that's probably not what you're asking for, if you're still here. And this has been, this is just something that is so, has been so interesting to see over the years. Is just this, like, this sense of, like, the more I trust me, the more I'm like, okay, it seems like nothing right now, and yet there's universes here. I'm going to get even quieter. I'm going to listen even more. I'm going to realize that not a whole lot is super relevant to me at this point. I'm going to realize that there's a way that I can create that is so much more magical and so much more about asking and receiving and being the miraculousness that I be, and choosing something totally different and having joy, like being happy. Being happy. Imagine that. Being happy in the middle of a thing, in the middle of a worldwide thing that starts with a P. Being happy in the middle of that, is an affront to other people that believe in the cacophony. And it's also an invitation to the people that are ready for something different. And there's a lot of the world ready for something different, and there's a lot more of the world ready for something different every day. And it's very exciting, part of what's so cool about this time right now, but we have to listen more. We have to like play in the beauty and the joy of the silence more, and trust more, because there are less indicators from the outside, like showing you that you're moving in the right direction. Those are gone now. It's up to you and your awareness. And do we have each other? Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I love about Access Consciousness classes, is we can kind of, look at these things together, have these conversations, kind of bounce off of each other, play, but ultimately it's really about you trusting you, being the silence, listening to the silence, embodying it, playing in it, reveling in it, and knowing that that's the space where miracles get created. That is the space where miracles get created. Now is the space for miracles. And it might sound airy-fairy, but it's actually incredibly pragmatic. You just have to choose it. And not just like as an idea, but as a place that you function from, where you go, no thank you to the cacophony of distraction, of fear, of doubt, of death, of all of that stuff going on. I'm good. No thank you. If I need to know something that's going on over here that's going to be relevant to me, I trust that I will know. And in the meantime, I'm going to go to work creating a completely different world by listening to the whispers, by being more present than I ever have been before, which allows me to know things that I've never known before, and create things that I've never created before, and have things that I never had before, and birth things in the world that have never been birthed before, because they're only yours to bring. You, my friend, know something that nobody else knows. And when we together, all of us, whoever's willing to play on that playground, when we show up and we begin to really create these completely different realities, that when we show up knowing what it is that we know, bringing what it is that we bring, choosing what it is that's true for us. Like, even if it doesn't make sense to the rest of the world or anybody around you, like, it might piss off your family. It might not make sense to your family or your friends or whatever, but you're like, no, this is what I know and this is what I'm choosing. Then it's like this huge universe. Like, we all together play into this like incredible, it's like this amazing mosaic that's so colorful and vibrant and alive, that's alive with your energy and your energy and your energy and what you know 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 and what I know. And we all start to create this symphony together of something different. And it grows and it builds and it grows and it builds. And I've seen lots of, demonstrations and things like that around the world lately. It's been really inspiring to see all these things going on in all these different countries and people choosing different things and voting in different ways. And the world is standing up in ways. And it's not about protesting, but if that's something that you're called to do, then go for it. It's having a voice in whatever way that looks for you, and your voice might be very silent, it might be very quiet, it might be very subtle. But please know that if you're choosing happiness, if you're choosing joy, if you're choosing space, if you're choosing to not freak out, if you're choosing to not buy fear, if you're choosing to function from ease, joy, and glory, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Say that 20 times a day, see what happens in your life. If you're choosing to function from kindness, from inclusion, from contribution to other people, to the world, to yourself, like if you're choosing to live a different reality, create a different reality, live the question of what else is possible, that's never been possible before, that is so possible now with everything that's going on in the world. If you're choosing that, you don't have to say a word to anybody. You are contributing to the creation of a different reality. You are contributing to the creation of a greater world. We together are substantiating this as a reality more and more and more. We don't have to worry or busy ourselves with the dying reality at all. We do not have to busy ourselves with that. It is dying. How do we encourage the death process? We create a different reality. Now is the space is now. Now what? And if you live that question, now what? Now what? And now what? And now what? And then you're like, dang it, it's still not happening. It's still not showing up. Okay, now what? I'm going to get even quieter. I'm going to go even more beyond the doubt. I'm going to go even more beyond all of this, more into now what? Now what? And the silence and the whispers. And you will begin to find something that is so different. And we're seeing it. It's occurring as we speak. And the more we acknowledge that, the more we expand and contribute to that, the birthing reality beyond reality that is about contribution and beauty and true sustainability, communion with the earth, communion with our bodies, communion with each other, kindness, generosity, gratitude, vulnerability, allowance. These are things that we think they're just airy, fairy, fluffy. No, these are the substance upon which a new and different reality is created. And when we be them with ourselves and with each other, and we listen to the silence of everything that's occurring right now, all of this expands more and more and more and more, and it builds, and it has just this like snowball effect of this new reality that we are creating together. So I want to thank you for being here, for listening, for being part of this, not just listening, but like contributing your energy here, and for everything that you're being in the world, everything that you're doing in the world, everything that you're choosing in the world, and all the stuff that you're ignoring too. Every time you choose to ignore the cacophony, it's like it's just dies even more, So thank you for you. And there's more. There's always more. And I wonder what we can all create, what we can all choose and be. Dr. Dane here has a call coming up on Sunday and a class coming up next week called Being You Changing the World. The call on Sunday is Being You in a World That Goes Insane or something like that, in a world that's gone insane. Anyway, if you go to his website, drdanehere.com, you'll see it there. Really cool stuff going on. And I'm also doing a month-long play with silence in December. It's called Silent Night because, hey, why not? It's that time of year. And it's two different things. It's a series of energetic exercises, really playing with this. And then also a Symphony of Possibilities group taster series. So two different things. You can do them together. You can do them separately. I don't even know if they're on my website yet. I'm not sure if we've posted everything, but some stuff is there. And you can play with it. So my website is heathernichols.com. That starts on December 2nd. And Dane's call. There's a one-off call with Dane here for $77, which is like the cheapest hour that you'll get with him probably ever on Sunday. I think right around the same time in 2 days. So you can also find it on the accessconsciousness.com website. But some really cool stuff coming up. I'm really looking forward to what else. And the silence and the beauty of all of us that is like a force and a source for consciousness that cannot be stopped. Consciousness is always moving in the direction of greater, always. That's like a law of the universe that cannot be stopped or changed. It's what is. The universe is consciousness, and it's always creating itself and changing and moving in the direction of greater. There are people trying to destroy that, but it's not working, and it's not going to work. That is the death of this reality. So we play our part in that by choosing to be. And again, that might sound airy-fairy, but it is very true that we play our part in that by choosing to be. If you don't have Being You Changing the World, the book by Dane here, get it, read it. You can have it on Audible or whatever. You can download the first chapter on audio for free on his website. Because that to me it's the crux of how we create something different. And it's so simple. And it's like our own desires for something different are the sort of like guideposts for where we go next to create something greater that has an impact on the world. What you desire as a life, and what you desire as a reality, and what you desire as a world and the future for the world, that's a gift to the world. And we all think we have to be like selfless and, like give ourselves up for other people. There's a massive conversation in the world going on right now about that. Like, you need to give yourself up for other people, like you're a good person if you give yourself up for other people. Well, you know what? No, that has never worked. I think we're pretty clear that doesn't work, and it never has. I mean, look where we are, right? So perhaps there's a different possibility where I get to be included in the kingdom of we. I am included in the kingdom of we. And the only thing I know to do is to do what's going to bring me joy and lightness and happiness and expansion and a sense of peace and space by listening to those whispers of possibility. And if I follow that, it creates a greater world in ways that we can't even imagine. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So let's keep going. Let's have way more fun than we're supposed to, especially now. Let's be way happier than we are supposed to, especially now. Let's have each other's backs way more than we are supposed to, especially now. Let's contribute to each other in ways that we're not supposed to, especially now. And let's create something greater, far greater, in ways that we are not supposed to, but cannot be stopped. Because that is the only thing that cannot be stopped, is the movement of consciousness toward greater. And you are that. You moving in the direction of greater every single day. It may not look how you think it's going to look. It may not be as like, you may not have like the results that you think you're going to have. But you choosing that is consciousness expressing itself as you in the creation of a greater reality. And that's kind of, in a way, the only thing we can do. And it's everything. It's everything. So thank you, for being here. And let's fucking go. Please, if you enjoyed this, if it was a contribution, please share it with your friends. Like, comment, blah, blah, to bump it up in the algorithm so people see it. We'll put it on YouTube. We'll put it in my Telegram chat. It's already there, actually. And if you want to stay connected, there's a lot more going on these days in Telegram. heathernichols.com/Telegram will take you to that chat. You can join it. It's free. And I'm hoping to have more conversations like this over there once I figure out how to do it. I couldn't figure it out today. So I'm glad you guys found me. Thank you so much. And I adore you all. Have fun. Have way more fun than you're supposed to.